them that I'm going to bowl them lots of googlies. So the first googly actually starts with the ambassador. Uh, Gustavo, Barcelona is a city that everyone talks about. And Barcelona is about the same size as Varanasi in terms of population. So, given the fact that Madrid is 2.6 million, Barcelona is 1.6 or thereabouts, what are the things that Indian cities could learn from Barcelona or other Spanish cities?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. Well, actually, if you were saying that you wanted to be googly, Madrid actually has a little over 3 million inhabitants, and Barcelona is 1.8, almost 1.9, which are sizable cities for European standards, very small cities for Indian standards. Smart cities is not just being connected through the Wi-Fi. A smart city concept, as we understand it in Spain, is state-of-the-art public transportation, state-of-the-art management of traffic, state-of-the-art water management and water treatment, state-of-the-art health facilities, knowing where to put your schools when you are redeveloping your city, urban development and urban designing, because of course you have old cities that are in the center of the cities, and then you have schools that were put there in the 20s and the 30s and the 50s and the 60s when urban development was not in fashion or simply was not a well-developed science. So when you start evolving, you have new neighborhoods that have to be designed according to the needs and to the challenges of the 21st century. Other things that smart cities need are obviously waste management and waste to energy, the use of renewable energies. So pollution and quality of the air, quality of the water is a big challenge. It's a big challenge for Spain, it's a big challenge for India, it's a big challenge for every country in the world. Right now we have municipal water companies that are publicly owned, and some of them are beginning to be privatized, that are very, very efficient, and that ensure that the quality of water that comes out of your faucet is not only drinkable, it is absolutely perfect. And the quality of the water in Spanish cities is well known. Some of the cities have been ranked as the best water in the world. For example, the city of Madrid has 4 ring roads: the M30, the M40, the M45, and the M50. M30 was very inefficient, and it was sort of congesting the city, and it was sort of like a natural boundary. So the previous mayor of Madrid decided to do something revolutionary. He took the highway, an 8 or actually 10-lane highway, dug a tunnel, put the highway under the river for most of its path, and then covered it. And now you have there's a limitless thing between one side of the city and the other. You can actually walk over the highway because it's a park. So this is exactly what makes a city go from inefficient and inhabitable to a habitable, pleasant, unpolluted, efficient city. So this is very much what we're trying to do. I think it's a good model. It's a model that combines public transport, water, communications, all kinds of services. And I do have to say something that, for example, the location of the fire services and emergency services is of the essence, so that your response time is very, very short. And one last thing, the unified 112 emergency dialing system. You know that every region in Spain, we're a federal country like India is, you called the 112 in any part of Spain, the response time, you're going to have a guaranteed response time of way under 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Bhardwaj, this question comes to you after your experience in the US, in Africa, and the last 2.5 years in India. What is the difference between the financing of a city in the US or Africa versus in India? Because just to use an example, some of us in the lending community think that a city is like a a 16-year-old child which will never get a car loan. But the same child, when it grows up to about 23 and gets a job and gets cash flow, it will get a car loan. Do you think Indian cities are a bit like that 16-year-old?
Some of the things that, whatever the ambassador talked about isn't really possible. You can't be smart if you haven't done the boring, mundane things that come in the background first. And that is to establish the basic systems of revenues, managing your revenues, accounting for it, being accountable, and being able to tell people that this is what it costs to do what you want me to do. And who can talk about that? It's the mayor, if not the mayor, then you need an empowered chief executive. And without that, you can't have this conversation with your citizens. And once you have this conversation with your citizens, if you don't have the municipal systems, the accounting systems, the financial management systems, and you can't really have a dialogue with the private sector. Why would anybody give you a loan if they don't know how much you earn? Or if you can't show them how you're managing your finances, that's your credit rating. And it's but those things can't be done if you don't publish your balance sheet. So if you don't have a balance sheet, who's going to give you a loan if you can't tell them what your income and expenditure systems are? So it's those sorts of things that have to be done in the background. They're boring things to do, but they are very essential things to do. And it's establishing those systems in the background which will then allow the financing to happen. It will also need confidence building. You need to have enforceable contracts. And I think a lot of that kind of work Mr. Amitabh Kant is leading on doing business side. It's a very hard slog, undoing 60 years of things that haven't been done in just one example of the doing business. But when you start putting in systems of doing business, it's the local governments who actually then have to have the systems in place to be able to attract private industry, not just for putting in the infrastructure, but also for establishing themselves in their cities. Because at the end of the day, cities are about the economy, and if you break it down, cities are about jobs. The cities that do well are the places where new jobs are created, better jobs are created. You move people from the informal sector into the formal sector. And it's those are the cities which are able to attract financing. And in that sense, it's those cities which have the element of becoming smart.
Right. Let's ask Mr. Amitabh Kant, who's planned new cities in the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, and also has said that actually most of urban population growth in India is not going to happen in new cities. What is the answer? We are talking about partnerships here. A partnership is only between equals. The way I hear it, the local government, the city government is pretty much powerless. And someone like me from the private sector does not want to partner with such a partner. Where is the solution?
Smart cities is one component of your process of urbanization. But the key there in any urbanization is your ability to ring fence a city, is your ability to do land monetization. If you are not able to do land monetization, further development of a city will never take place. You have two examples, one of Gurgaon and the other of Noida. The very good trunk infrastructure was done, city urbanized, but again, the private sector builders came in, upsides were again captured by political parties. And therefore, it's important that we legally ring fence the city, legally structure the city in a manner where all upsides of a city are captured back into the city. Monetization of land doesn't take place in India. Future urbanization and future smart city development will be extremely difficult. It will be impossible. The central government will not have the resources to put back into these urbanization process. And therefore, it's very important that we are able to do land monetization of the cities well. To my mind, the key to a good city is what the ambassador talked about, is a smart city is one which has good, very good public transportation. It is embedded on the back of public transportation. So all cities actually must start with good BRTs, good metros, good LRTs. They must get embedded into the process of planning. And therefore, to my mind, planning holds the key. The second key component is detailed engineering. And therefore, detailed engineering must be done well, and the backbone of the city must go underground. The wet infrastructure, the hard infrastructure, the drainage, the sewage, the solid waste. It's exactly like the Britishers created New Delhi. They created the backbone of the city. That's the basic homework. Once you've done the backbone of the city is able to monetize land value. At that stage, you bring in private sector player. You've created the backbone. And at that stage, the land values will shoot up. Capture those land values. Bring in private sector player because you have structured the project at that point of time. Private sector will come in because it will be a win-win for them. They will make the resources. The city's backbone will be ready. Upsides will be captured. And without that, you can't do any more development. So to my mind, public transportation, good planning, recycling of water, good waste recycling, and good detailed engineering holds the key to the success of the future development of urbanization and smart city development. Technology is important. Technology can be used to leapfrog, but it will have to be one layer in addition to many layers of drainage, sewage, solid waste, lighting, is the layer of ICT. And therefore, your geographical planning and your smart city planning have to converge and integrate into this process. And therefore, to my mind, good technology companies will play a very critical role as we go along. And increasingly, the challenge for India will be, how do good planners work in partnership with good technology companies as we move forward?
Very powerful comments, and I'm happy to say that we, as a private sector city developer, are trying to marry technology and planning. Because in our city, we spent 4 hours with the consultant saying, how do you walk or how do you cycle from point A to point B, leave your cars out once you enter Bharatiya city? This ICT, when we started talking about smart cities, there was this big thing about how technology is going to do everything and how you'll wiggle your fingers and suddenly everything will happen because of technology. What Mr. Amitabh Kant is saying is ICT is just one layer. And planning and execution and financing are much, much more important.